Hey guys, the fly we're going to be tying today is a rubber leg stonefly nymph. Slide my bead back here. We're going to start off by tying our thread on up at the eye of the hook. We're going to tie on our antennas. So we'll tie that off, cut off my excess thread, grab my rubber legs here, and we're going to tie two antennas on. We'll just start with one end, tie on one side. We'll use the same piece of rubber, and then we'll wrap it around and tie it on for the other antenna here, just like this. And sometimes when you're tying just like that there, it likes to slide up top. Just grab it, pull it down a little bit, get them in place exactly where you want them so they look like a natural antenna of a bug. These rubber legs are pretty durable, so you can manipulate them, move them around a little bit to get them where you want them to be. Once you get them tied down, we'll whip finish, tie them off. Just a couple wraps there. And now what I want to do is I want to look at my antennas, kind of line them up, and cut them so they're about the same length there. That should be good. Now I want to grab my lead weight, or my lead wire, and we're just going to start wrapping. And I love this rotary vise that I just got, and really makes wrapping wire, hackles, anything else really, really nice. But we'll just wrap that all the way up to the front. And once we get to the front, what I like to do is go back on myself a little bit and give myself kind of a tapered body effect to it. You really won't notice a whole lot once you get your chenille on, but once the fly is wet, there is a distinct difference, which really makes the fly look natural. So I like to do that, plus it only takes a couple extra seconds. Gives you a little bit better chance to catch some fish. So we'll get our lead weight on, kind of slide that up as far as we can, get it nice and tight. We'll tie it on here at the back, and what I like to do, we're kind of putting a stopper for the lead weight so it doesn't slide back, and then we'll just go up in big wraps going up and then coming back. And what I want to do here at the end of the lead wire, I want to kind of taper it or make it kind of a smooth transition from my thread, or from my hook to my thread to my lead wire there, and I'll do the same thing up where I have that double wire wrap, and then in front of it too here, and just keep going back and forth a couple times till you really feel that it's secure on. But see there how I've got it kind of smooth, so we're going to have a smooth transition as we're wrapping our chenille around. There's not going to be a big drop off or a ledge and be kind of goofy looking. But once we've got that all tied down, we want to grab our rubber legs again, and we're going to make our tail. And I like to use the same piece of rubber as long as I can, rather than cutting it off and having just a bunch of rubber pieces. So I'll just cut off a strand, and I'll feed my thread all the way up to where I want my first leg of my fly here, just about up to the head of the bug, and I'll fold it over and tie my other end on. And this piece of rubber isn't long enough to do exactly what I like to do. What I like to do is feed it all the way back down and give me the other end of the tail, but we'll go down as far as we can, and if this lets me, and it's not going to, we'll just cut some of it off here, make it easier on me. And then I'll grab another rubber leg, and we'll just make the next set of legs. But what I want to do here is line the tail up. Let me show you again. Move my thread up first to where I want my legs at, and I line up my tail, and we're going to do basically the same thing on the other side. And we just tie it down and head back until we get it where we want it to be as far as on the tail end. About right there. And then we're going to come back up. We're going to make another loop, and this is going to be our next set of legs. And I might have enough here to do my second and my third set of legs. I don't know. We'll have to see. It doesn't look like I'm going to, so we'll just tie this on here and go back to where I want my third set, and that's enough to give me a third leg on that one side, but I'm going to need to grab another piece of rubber to tie on for the other leg. We want it to look symmetrical and identical here, so we'll just tie on another piece of rubber. And then once I've got that tied on, we'll cut off the excess. We're going to head back to the tail. We're going to tie on our chenille and wrap the fly and give us a nice looking body here. The thing I like about these rubber legs, you can do them in all different kinds of colors. Here in eastern Idaho, fishing on the South Fork and on the North Fork, for whatever reason, I've learned a brown rubber leg will work on the South Fork great, but you take it up to the North Fork and you're just not going to, fish won't look at it, and so you'll want to tie a black pattern. And so I guess my advice, I've always got different colors in my fly box. This color here, it's kind of a brown olive color chenille that I really like. It seemed to really work well. You can tie it in brown, like I said. Black's another color. I've got a kind of a tiger orange with black stripes going through it that I like to do for another one. There's just a bunch of different colors of chenille that you can use. Just try and get matching legs for it. You don't want to have black legs and a tan body. It'll look kind of silly, but we'll get that tied on here. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to wrap around all the way up to the front, and this allows me to space my rubber legs. So if you tie your rubber legs a little too close, you think it might look kind of silly, don't worry about it. Once you get to your chenille, you can really space them out in between wraps of your chenille. And so we'll just, I like to do about a wrap in between each rubber leg. I think that gives me a good sectioning. And then we'll do our final ones up here. And then I'm going to tie off. And while I'm tying off here, another good technique to use with these rubber legs, I like to fish a dropper fly. If you watch one of the other videos, one of my favorite flies to drop from this is my red midge larva. It really gives a good pattern. They both really sink on the bottom, bounce on the rocks pretty good. But when you're whip finishing, I like to do 2 sets of whip finishes. This fly really gets bead up. We've got a lot of weight on there with the bead and the lead wire. We want it to sink. We want it to bounce on the rocks, do that kind of thing. It really gets beat up, so I'll do 2 wraps of my thread there. Once we get that cut off, now I want to make sure all the legs look fairly nice. And so, excuse me, after we put a little head cement on, and just get in where I tied those antennas, try and reach that thread in there too. But we'll take our legs here and kind of line them up, and you can see, oh, well, you guys can't see, hold on a second, maybe. Let me zoom out a little bit. We're going to get a little shaky here. Okay, you can kind of see somewhere a little bit longer than the others. Basically what we're going to do is kind of like a haircut for the rubber legs. We're just going to line them all up there and just do a straight cut across all 6 of them there. There we go. And then I'll do the same thing to the antennas. They're pretty close, so I'm just going to cut off a little bit off the top, and then the same thing on the tail end. Cut those off. There, your tail end, if you look at an actual picture of a stonefly nymph, their tail ends aren't very long as compared to their legs or their antennas or anything like that. So we'll keep those a little bit shorter. But here's a list of the materials that you're going to need. Also visit us at the website there. You can buy all the materials there. You can order them. We can ship them out to you. Here's a nice rainbow that I cut on my rubber leg.